Hi everyone, this is Jarek from AECC, and today we are joined with one of the lead lecturer here at ACU. He has over 19 years of experience here to talk about the MBA and MPA program, how it helps international students build their careers. We have none other than Alexander Campbell.
Cool. All right.
How you doing, Alex?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for coming in and interviewing me today and finding out a bit more about our programs ACU has to offer for international students. So I do appreciate that. And look, yeah, I'm going pretty well today, actually. It's been pretty good so far.
Awesome. Well, it's actually the pleasure is with us for you guys inviting us to ACU. It's actually my first time being here at the ACU Melbourne campus.
Yeah, what do you think of it?
I think that I should have studied at ACU.
It's very nice, isn't it? It's very news, very flash.
Yeah, because the thing is, I actually studied in Brisbane.
My old stomping ground.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I used to live in Brisbane, but
Griffith University.
Griffith University, yes, I did.
Right.
Yeah,
okay.
Did my PhD there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's information for me
Yeah.
to actually consider
Yeah.
doing my PhD, possibly in Griffith,
Yeah.
or maybe in ACU.
Maybe ACU. See how we go.
Yeah, maybe we should talk about that after
this.
After. Yeah, no, because I studied in Brisbane and I also went to the ACU Brisbane campus.
Banyo, yes.
Yes, in Banyo, but it's not like this.
No, it's a bit different.
It is a bit different. It's a bit more UQ.
It's very tranquil. ACU Banyo is very
Yeah, I would say so as well. The reason why I said it's UQ is because I studied at UQ.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the MBA and MPA programs are going to be in our new campus in the city, right in the center of the city of Brisbane.
The new
location
leadership center.
for the leadership center for the MPA and the MBA.
And how long has it been in Brisbane?
Well, that leadership center has been there for a long time, but this is when we're actually inviting students to that center as well.
International students.
Yeah. No, well, we're actually kicking off the MPA and the MBA. This is the first time it's running in that location, which is really, really exciting. We used to run it, but now we're running it again, being in the hustle and bustle of Brisbane. And when it's based in Brisbane, it's fantastic. So I actually used to work and live on those streets where that leadership center is based. And, there's a lot of financial industries around there. There's a lot of, industries and head offices. And I used to work up in startup in that sort of location as well, and tech startups. So, not only is it a great location, but it's got a lot of industry around it. So you have a lot of opportunities to interact and engage with industry whilst you're doing your studies there. So what I think is absolutely fantastic.
For sure. And I actually have been there, not inside, but rather outside.
Yes.
Because I know that there's a lot of things going on, a lot of beautification, as I would say.
Well, that big gold building beside it, that was my old office.
Oh, is it?
So I used to always look down at that building there as well.
Right, because it's right.
For prior to my years at ACU, yeah.
Right, because it's right next to Eagle Street Pier.
Eagle Street Pier, yes.
Yeah. Which there's a lot of development going on in there
heaps
right now.
Heaps of development. But also it's a very beautiful part of Brisbane, walking around the Brisbane River, and it's and again, whilst I make the comparison of Banyo being tranquil, at the same time the leadership centre in Brisbane is right next to the river, so it can also be very tranquil as well.
Yes.
You can walk around and walk down into the main gardens around the area. There's a lot of I guess it's a lot of eye candy in terms of the features of the building and the features of the landscape as well.
Yeah, and it's right next to the church.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes. Which I sort of go to at times. Yeah. And when it comes to the location of the leadership center, you mentioned that there's a lot of companies
there's heaps of industry around
it.
Yeah, heaps of industry around it. I think that's really important. When you're doing an MPA or doing an MBA, one of the biggest things that you'd probably want to do is get work experience or even getting to know and to meet, some of the business owners or the people who work in those businesses in that area. And there's a lot of connection with that, which is absolutely fantastic. And that's going to be, it's a very strong thing for our potential students going there.
Absolutely. And these potential students are international students, right?
Yeah.
And
you're seeking the Brisbane experience too, right?
True.
It's a full Brisbane experience, and there's a lot to do in that city. And that city, it's a big city in Australia. There's a lot there from a social and cultural perspective. It's a great location as well.
Absolutely. And just thinking about international students studying the MBA and MPA program, what would you say that suits them in that regard? Because as an international student coming from a different country, the concerns would be, of course, if you're going to study an MBA or an MPA, right? It's sort of like, oh, I'm starting from start, right? And once you come here, you need to build that. So how would the MBA and MPA program help international students?
Look, I think there's a couple of ways to look at it. So one, I always believe we're a practice-ready, business-ready business school. And so one of the things that we teach and we learn and we foster is that industry engagement in our course and in the extracurricular around. So from starters, that you're walking into a university that's going to give you a lot of experience, a lot of hands-on experience to know those industry partners and industries that are around us. That's one really good we're good aspect as well, because I very much believe that we believe in practice, right? And what I want our graduates to know, specifically about postgraduates coming in, they've already done an undergraduate, they've already got these great skills, and we need to build upon those skills. Or if they're from a different educational background, how can we, those initial skills they've got, how can we transform them or transition them into business-based skills as well, which is really important for them to have and to foster and to build up from that.
And would you be able to sort of expand how that is sort of done in the MBA and MPA program?
100%. So we've got these three pillars, right, which is a global perspective, an ethical perspective, and a practical perspective, right? So one of the things is the business leaders of tomorrow, they're expected to be across SDGs, ESGs, be a good corporate citizen, which is my area of what I actually teach here at ACU. So we integrate that and we put that into every single one of our. We have this connection. We give their students a global perspective so they understand not only how business operates in Australia, but how business transcends borders essentially, and how can business from Australia or from the base country, international students coming from, how can I create business with Australia? So we really try to develop and foster those skills as well, and that real sort of practical aspect. So for example, you do a marketing course, you're not just learning the marketing theory, you're learning how can I actually put that into practice. If I'm doing a financial course, how can I put that into practice from a MPA perspective or an MBA perspective. So that's really, really important to do that. And so that global ethical practical is a theme that runs across all our units inside the MPA program and also the MBA program.
Sweet. With the international students coming in, I know that in Brisbane, it's just starting.
Yes.
Would you have any sort of cases wherein international students have come to you? And actually, have these stories that they sort of.
For example, I had one of my, great students, Jerry. He actually came and studied with me at the Melbourne campus as well. He's done some absolutely fantastic things. I think right now he's got a internship. Sorry, Jerry, if I got this wrong, but it's Kellogg, South Asia. Southeast Asia. He's over there at the moment doing an internship, and he actually got that opportunity through ACU to go and do that and get connected into these large organisations. And he's coming back to Australia, I think, quite shortly. I'm going to catch up with him for a coffee and have a chat about his adventure. But there's a lot of success stories in terms of that, students coming in and getting access to industry or getting even international opportunities through our MBA program, even though they're based here. It's just absolutely fantastic. I've had students talk on board meetings, for example. I run a lot of industry-based projects, so students who work on one of my industry projects within the university setting, they actually get to talk to the board, engage with the board.
Wow.
And then they actually get feedback. I did a marketing subject where students actually got up and presented to this board that actually had sort of more funding behind it. And they were saying to this board, I won't mention the company, you're kind of doing your marketing wrong. And from that, they actually changed their mind, and they were very, very impressed and gave references to those students as well. So
that's amazing.
This is the opportunity. It's got to be hands-on, it's got to be practical, but we've also got to teach that global, we've also got to teach that ethical perspective as well, because that's what business wants.
Absolutely. I think that sort of attributes to the fact that with the hands-on experience that MBA and MBA students actually get in the program is the reason why ACU actually has 100% employment rate of their postgraduate students.
And that's the big thing I always tell my students, right? My students who've moved through ACU or students who are currently studying at ACU is the biggest return on investment for your degree is employment.
Mhm.
That sets up your career. It pushes where you want to go. If that's, becoming a financial controller, if that's why you're doing an MPA, or if you're, doing an MBA, so you can actually take this great idea that you've had and turn it and flourish into a really flourishing business, or you want to work up at larger organizations and take those executive roles. We train our students, provide opportunities for students so they can actually see tangible results, see tangible outcomes. And really, it is an investment. It is a big investment, but we want that investment to pay off. Last thing you want to do is just go read a theory in a textbook. You want that practical application and get that hands-on experience and understand what the needs of the industry are. And that's what we've done in both our MPA and our MBA programs. We've looked at what industry wants, and we've tailored our courses and core units, so they can actually, do what is required if you are going down a C-suite pathway, right? So for example, in the marketing unit, we're not just teaching you how to be a marketer, we're teaching you how to manage marketing.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, MBA.
Absolutely.
That's what we're teaching you to do, right? For an MPA perspective, we're teaching you how to manage the financial status of an organization, right? And the roles that you get from the MPA, from an MBA, that are going to be that next run up from doing a bachelor's program, right? You are going to get some really good opportunities in the C-suite, or work your way towards the C-suite with these applications, also these degrees or postgrad degrees. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Now with the international students coming in, we talk about careers,
Yeah.
right? I think it's very important that international students nowadays actually focus on a career that they really want.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
100.
What would
That's for any student.
Oh yeah, true.
Any student.
True, but the reason why I'm saying that is
Yeah.
because a lot of international students actually sort of come here are sort of unsure about what sort of course that they sort of want to take, right? And they jump ship.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's also understanding what your career outcomes is. Now, to not sound like a dad, I am a dad, but not to sound like a dad, right? You should really have a 5 or 10 year plan. Right?
True.
What do you want to be, right? What is the strategic objective of you getting an MPA? Or what is the strategic objective for you to get an MBA? Do you want to be part of the C-suite? Do you want to be an entrepreneur and create this amazing organization? Do you want to work in a not-for-profit space? Do you want to be a financial controller? Do you want to be the CFO or the CMO or these are really important questions that you need to consider, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all those pathways require an MBA or an MPA for the most part,
True.
right? So you need to understand where you want to go. So if I want to be at the top, echelon of an organization, or if I want to, get these skills and experience to do something on a global scale, then you need to think, right? I probably will need to have either one of those 2 master's degrees to really push me forward. And so you plan that out. And getting that degree and getting that qualification is the proof point, it's the credibility, it's where you start.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start, going, okay, so now I've got this qualification, where do I go with my career now? What do I need to do? Because we'll teach you the soft skills, the hard skills, give you the right graduate attributes, but you need to make sure that's a good fit for you, the students, it's a good fit for them.
Absolutely.
And where is that going to take them? Because one thing here at ACU, we give you mentorship, we've got the smaller class sizes, we have the industry connections. This all sort of builds you up to move into and fast track your way into that design role that you actually want to get. So again, really mission.
True. Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned the 5-10 year plan,
Yes.
right? And what we all know is sometimes plans don't go as well as they.
They never go to plan. I ended up I wanted to do a PhD to become an industry consultant in Europe,
Right.
and I ended up teaching, and I love teaching.
Yeah.
So I stuck with lecturing
Okay.
and researching because I actually loved what I did. I felt really fulfilled. So plans don't always go to plan, but that doesn't mean that the plan that you created was a bad plan.
True.
It just takes you to a different pathway.
No, I definitely agree
Yeah.
with that. I think that it's learning how to pivot, right? But the key thing to learn how to pivot is you need to actually know the direction that you're going into,
Yes.
right? And with international students pivoting and stuff, I think the key element that is missing is the fact that they don't know what the first path is. So it's not.
See, yeah, and this is a really good, because I believe that even if you roll into a program, right, you don't want to pivot from that program. you want to complete that program that you're actually involved with. You can pivot afterward. You can change direction afterward. Because again, it comes back to that return investment, that time investment you're putting into yourself, right? You're going to spend, let's say, a year or 2 years doing, a degree such as an MBA, right? Complete it, because that's a very much what I call a degree or a program that actually gives you this amazing set of skills that are multidisciplinary. You can work in many different industries, many different fields, right? Career that pivots, not your qualification that pivots. This is the big thing. So you do an MBA, you might go, okay, well now I might be working in a not-for-profit space. Now I'm working in the tech space, right? So for example, I come from a marketing background and my master's was in marketing, and I actually worked in sports, hospitality, tertiary, resources, I said mining, I've worked in entertainment. So it's a whole bunch of different areas that I've worked in, but my core knowledge hasn't changed. And that's led me to the position I'm in today. So students who are doing that, and I do think to myself, I probably should have done an MBA opposed to a Master's of Marketing. I do think that now, but plans change. They change and they shift. So it's an important factor to consider. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, I especially like the fact that you said, you should sort of once you actually set a plan, you need to actually follow it through.
Follow the plan through.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%. You follow the plan through, even though you might get a different outcome. You've completed something, but that culmination of knowledge, that culmination of effort that you've done hasn't gone to waste. Hasn't gone to waste. Right? And again, it's really important to do that. And I think, that dad persona, will tell my daughters that, hand over fist every single time, because after once you've finished the degree, if that's undergrad or postgrad, the world's your oyster business. And it's up to you how you choose to use that knowledge from that degree in whatever application that you want. And that's the great thing about the fact that I got to work in the music industry, in the radio industry, and the software industry, and the tech industry, all these different industries. But I didn't have to change my qualifications because I had a really good, robust qualification to help me do those roles. And that's a really big thing. And people don't tend to think about that.
True.
Yeah. It's not you finish the path, but once you've finished it, it splits many different paths.
I feel like that is the key thing that international students would need to actually understand.
Yeah.
Right. And what ACU actually provides, you mentioned earlier, is that you have a student that sort of got a job with Kellogg's overseas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because the way that international students sort of think is that they really want to stay here in Australia.
Yes.
And that's the reason why they sort of move to different courses just so that they stay in Australia. But the fact of the matter is that if you sort of stay in that one course, say an MBA or MPA, right? You mentioned that the world is their oyster.
It's
And ACU, I believe, helps them.
Yeah.
With thinking globally, not just locally in Australia.
No, and I've had other students in the past who have stayed in Australia and got amazing careers, and some have gone to do PhDs like myself, and some have gone to work for large organizations. But there's one guy that always comes to mind. He actually wanted to come and stay and everything, and he did this course with me, and he goes, you know what, I really can make an impact back in my home country. I said, okay. And he actually went overseas, set up a marketing organization. He has this big bustling marketing organization. He comes over here all the time, right, between the two countries. So there's a lot of things you can do, right? It's just not a one-track mind or I understand that's the goal and that's the plan, but there's so many great opportunities that not only can transcend you into and break down a lot of borders globally. So that's really important to remember.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because that's what, with the current industry that we are not now in when it comes to international education, right? There's a lot of changes that are happening. And it is really important for international students to actually think about a career that they really want.
Yeah.
Right? And if once they decide on that, they need to follow through it so that they can easily find the ROI.
Yeah. There's so much opportunity once I finish.
Absolutely.
And it's crazy the amount of opportunity that you'd finish. And some organization that you might thought you never had an opportunity to work for actually starts becoming available to you. So
Well, aside from what we talked about when it comes to international students, what ACU is providing for them, what advice would you sort of give for international students who are unsure about getting an MBA or MPA?
It's a really good question. The first one is, where do you want to be? Where do you actually see yourself? And I know that's one of those questions that I'm not, right? But everyone does have an idea where they want to be. It's do they want to vocalize it to other people? That's true. That's the big thing, right? You have your desires of where you want to be and where you want to be in 5 years. You know, if that is running an organization or working in more, what I like to call the lone wolf type of role. So you're out on your own, doing your own thing and creating your own pathway. There is that. I think really important, the advice is to a lot of students is, where do you want to be in a couple of years' time, and will an MBA fast track you there? So, for example, there's a lot of stories of, people working in organizations working their way up the ladder, and they might get to top positions in 10 or 15 or 20 years. An MBA, an MPA fast tracks them by 10 years, by 5 years, by even more. You might even roll straight into a top job that you wanted forever. And I think that's really important to say, where do you want to go? And does the course that we provide you, is that going to help you get fast tracked? And keep in mind what ACU offers, right? Industry connection, right? More personalized class sizes, main location, i.e. Brisbane, right in the heart of Brisbane. These are really great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really great things for students. But yeah, my advice is plan it out. There's nothing wrong with planning it out.
Yeah.
Work out where you want to be and how you want to be there. How are you going to package yourself up? So one of the things I used to say to my students specifically, marketing. How can you get yourself a job in market without being able to market?
Right.
So it's the same thing for business. How can I get a job in business? Right. If I'm going for the job, I can't market myself. Right? How can I package myself up? And there's a lot of ways you can package yourself up. So one's physical appearance, obviously dressing for the job.
Right.
But the other is prowess, right? That being able to have this knowledge
and
right? apply that knowledge. And the other one for me is, how do you promote yourself? These are really important factors. And does the MBA fit into that promotional plan? Does that MBA fit into giving you that education know-how to be able to practically do the job, right? Going to ACU, does it give you the soft skills to integrate into a business setting, whatever location is in the world? These are really important. You want to package yourself up. You want to present yourself in such a way that you're going to be the top pick for the job. That's really important. And sometimes when we graduate and we go for university, I thought about this after I finished university, right? I thought about this after the fact, not when I was going through it, right?
Yeah.
And of course I'm getting this degree because that becomes part of my own product suite of getting a role. Of course that's the case, right?
Kind of like your portfolio.
It's your portfolio, right, of degrees, right? Or of qualifications and of skills. And one thing I would say to students, every milestone that you reach at university, capture that, use that as evidence. When you create a mock plan, or if you do an industry project, capture that information. That is real life skills that you've created, can be packaged up and you want to go for that role.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I feel from your profile on the website is that you're really passionate about CSR.
Oh yeah.
Is there a particular reason why, story that actually inspired you to actually be?
Oh, to be in that social work? Okay, so for starters, my granddad, there's a couple of points here. So there's two granddads in part of the story.
Okay.
The first granddad, on my mum's side, he was a ranger, park ranger.
Okay.
And he was part of this big project in New Zealand to stop the erosion on 90 Mile Beach. He was really well respected for it. And so that's kind of been in my DNA for a very long time. And in that line and that lineage, I was also related to Joseph Sturge, who was famously abolished child labour hundreds of years ago. He was part of that whole movement. So on my mum's side, there's been this really strong social enterprise / CSR. I grew up on a hobby farm where we grew everything from nature. We didn't have a lot of consumer goods. So I grew up in that lifestyle. So it's really embedded in me. Now, the other one's a bit more somber. So from a social perspective, I lost my granddad to suicide. And,
sorry to hear that.
That's right. And it essentially from gambling. So that's another thing too, right? Because there are some things in the world that we can limit and reduce harm, right? Mm-hmm. Gambling is entertainment, but like with everything can be indulged with, right?
For sure.
And so from that perspective, I'm like, well, I don't want to repeat the errors of organizations that cause people, my granddad on my dad's side, to fall victim to. Mm-hmm. So there's two ways. There's almost this yin and yang, this push and pull type of it. So I'm pushed towards it because on my mum's side, I've been very much connected to it. From my dad's side, I'm pulled towards it because I don't want that happening to other people. It's a very sad thing, right? And so that from that perspective, that led me down to this pathway of ethical business. Yeah. Business does affect what happens in life. And so it's up to us as a new generation to charter that through. right?
For sure.
And to be honest, it's a win-win situation for business, right? You know, CSR, corporate social responsibility, doesn't compete with something that's symbiotic with business. It's connected to business, right?
It should be.
You know, so that's part of what it is. And we've gone through this generation, or what our parents' generation went through environmentalism, like consumerism, and then our generation went through environmentalism, and now the new generation is now going for this whole social responsibility, social, you know, warriors as such. So it's just all evolving, right?
Yeah.
So it's natural that business is naturally, and for us to be good corporate citizens, we should do that. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
And would you say, like, you know, marketing actually plays a key part in that? Because, like, you know, ethical marketing is like something that is being developed right now.
And I did a study, hasn't been released yet, but essentially, you know, the younger generation, and actually interesting, the older generation, we're both going, well, previously, you know, we would consider a product that was cheaper, regardless of the environmental consequences, regardless of the environmental degradation. But now it's different. Those consumers, this is where the win-win comes in. They go, I don't mind spending more money on something that's environmentally sustainable. I don't mind spending the extra $1 or the extra 50 cents, because sometimes that's all it is. Yeah. Or the extra of getting shoes that are recyclable. I'm getting plastic that's biodegradable. I'm going to a cafe that uses bamboo straws and wood that's biodegradable, opposed to using plastic and harsh. So it is a win-win. Consumer trends, focus on that. We're not really focused on it. We are focused on our bottom line, but we're also focused on the bottom line of the environment. And that's very much true. That's coming out. Yeah.
That's true. And that is embedded in the MBA and MPA programs? Would you
100%. Yeah, 100%, because I wrote some of the courses. So it's definitely there, right? And from my field, marketing is 100, and we definitely bring that whole responsibility in. That's important, you know. And you know, our colleagues are very akin to what I've just said, right? We have built in these factors into the program, 100%.
And that's sort of like, you know,
it's building the responsible leaders of.
Absolutely.
That's how I've always said it. Like, we're building, and it's our job as just to make sure that happens, because it's our job. We're at the beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
We can't, you know, tell you the right way to do it. And if you go into an organization and do it the wrong way, is it really your fault? It's not. You're going to be taught the right way to do it. So it's our job to make sure how can I limit and reduce harm from my product, right? Mm-hmm. How can I make sure that my product is environmentally friendly and doesn't cause issues? How can I make sure that this vulnerable group of consumers are looked after? These things are really important, and we teach students that through our courses now, and they go to industry and they practice that. Well, then through osmosis, the next generation coming through automatically does it. So it's really important. It's very, very important. And organizations look for this. Organizations look for graduates who are socially responsible, who are a good corporate citizen, especially in a large organization. That's really a big focus for them as well.
And that sort of opens up a lot of opportunities, especially for international students.
Oh, 100%.
Where, you know, if they are coming from a country that is sort of not introduced to that concept yet, they can, if they want to, they can be one of the pioneers and actually jumpstart that thing, or one of the key pillars.
Yeah, they could be the key pillars of it. Bring it back to the base of the home country to show them they can take that to other parts of the world, or they can be part of the movement here. Mm-hmm. Like, as I said, pathways, right? Finish the degree. Lots of pathways for you to go. Yeah, tons.
And that starts with starting your degree, or your MBA and MPA program at ACU.
And finishing it.
And finish it.
It's really important. You want to finish it, because you complete it, because the big thing is once you got it, so not only is this rush shopping, hey, I've done something that's, you know, highly advanced level, you can then practice it big time.
So definitely study your MBA, MPA at ACU.
Yes.
In Brisbane.
Yes.
Melbourne.
Yes.
And Sydney.
Yes. And I float around all 3 campuses. If you see me, say hello.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Really appreciate that.